Picture this. It's 11 p.m. and you're finally sitting down to tackle that important project due tomorrow. Your heart's racing, you're mad at yourself, and you're wondering, why do I keep doing this to myself? We've all been there. But what if everything you thought you knew about procrastination was wrong? What if it's not about being lazy or poor time management or lack of discipline? Today, I'm going to share a discovery that completely changed how I understand procrastination. And it might just change your life too. Because the real reason you procrastinate is far more primal and far more fascinating than you might think. Let me tell you about Sarah, a brilliant software engineer who almost lost her dream job because of procrastination. Despite having every productivity app and time management system at her disposal, she kept putting off crucial projects until the last minute. Sound familiar? That's because 95% of us procrastinate regularly, and 20% of us are chronic procrastinators. But here's what's really interesting. Research shows that people who procrastinate don't actually work differently than others. They plan similarly, they have the same goals, and they understand time management just as well. So what's really going on here? To understand this mystery, we need to look at something deeper, something that's been hiding in plain sight. And it starts with a question. Why does procrastination feel so good in the moment, yet so terrible afterward? Here's the mind-blowing truth. Procrastination isn't a time management problem. It's an emotional regulation problem. Let that sink in for a moment. When you procrastinate, you're not avoiding the task. You're avoiding the negative emotions associated with it. Anxiety, self-doubt, fear of failure. Your brain treats these emotions as immediate threats, and it responds the same way it would to physical danger. This is where evolutionary psychology comes in. Our ancient brain evolved to prioritize immediate threats over future ones. A potential predator nearby? That's more important than planning next week's hunt. This survival mechanism served us well for millions of years. But in our modern world, this same mechanism backfires spectacularly. Your brain treats the anxiety of starting a project as a threat to avoid, while viewing the consequences of not doing it as a future problem, something for future you to handle. Here's where it gets really interesting. Studies using fMRI scans show that when we think about our future selves, our brains activate similarly to when we think about strangers. This means that neurologically, we're literally pushing our problems onto someone else. But wait, there's another layer to this. Remember Sarah? Her procrastination wasn't just about avoiding negative emotions. It was actually perfectionism in disguise. She wasn't afraid of doing the work. She was afraid of not doing it perfectly. So here's what's wild. Once you realize procrastination is about emotions, not time management, everything changes. Let me share what actually works. You know what's funny? The smallest shift can make the biggest difference. Instead of thinking, I need to finish this whole project, just tell yourself, I'll work on this for 10 minutes. That's it. Nothing scary about 10 minutes, right? Your brain can handle that. And here's the thing. Once you start, you'll usually want to keep going. There's also something powerful about getting honest with yourself. Next time you're procrastinating, pause and ask yourself, what am I really afraid of here? Just naming that fear, whether it's failure, judgment, whatever, takes away half its power. It's like turning on the light and realizing the monster under your bed is just a pile of laundry. Here's another game changer that sounds simple, but works like magic. Take a moment to really picture yourself. Tomorrow, next week, next month. How will future you feel if you tackle this now? Make it vivid. Where will you be? What will you be doing? The more real you make it, the more your brain starts caring about that future version of yourself. Let me share how this transformed my own life. For years, I procrastinated on starting this YouTube channel. But once I understood that my procrastination was really fear of judgment in disguise, everything changed. I started using these exact techniques, and within 3 months, I'd launched the channel and posted consistently. Here's what's fascinating about people who've overcome procrastination. They didn't do it by downloading another productivity app or buying another planner. They did it by completely changing how they think about their relationship with work and time. Take successful creators, for example. The ones who consistently put out great work, they're just as scared as everyone else. The difference is, they've learned to see fear as a compass pointing them toward growth. When they feel that urge to procrastinate, they get curious about it instead of fighting it. But here's where it gets really interesting. The moment you stop trying to eliminate procrastination and start working with it, everything shifts. Think of it like surfing. Instead of fighting the wave, you learn to ride it. Those moments of resistance, they're actually telling you something important about what matters to you. And this is where most people get stuck. They think they need to feel motivated or confident before starting. But that's backwards. The confidence comes after you start, not before. Every time you face that resistance and take action anyway, you're literally rewiring your brain's response to stress. Want to know the real secret successful people use? They make the stakes lower, not higher. Instead of putting pressure on themselves to create the perfect outcome, they focus on taking imperfect action. They know that a small step taken today is worth more than a perfect plan for tomorrow. This is why the whole "just push through it" advice fails so spectacularly. You can't hate yourself into better habits, but you can get curious about your procrastination. Every time you catch yourself scrolling through social media instead of working, ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid feeling right now? The answer might surprise you. The most powerful shift happens when you realize that procrastination isn't your enemy. It's a misguided friend trying to protect you from discomfort. Once you understand this, you can start having a different conversation with yourself. Instead of, why can't I just get started? Try, what would make it easier to take the first step? Here's what I want you to do right now. Think about something you've been procrastinating on. What emotion are you really avoiding? Share it in the comments below. Let's make this a conversation about emotional honesty, not just productivity tips. And if you found this perspective helpful, you'll love next week's video where we'll explore the fascinating science of habit formation and why willpower might be overrated. Remember, procrastination isn't your enemy. It's your brain trying to protect you in an outdated way. Understanding this is the first step to real change. Hit subscribe for more insights into the psychology behind everyday struggles. And remember, the goal isn't to never procrastinate. It's to understand yourself better so you can work with your brain, not against it.